Hi everyone, I want to go over the end of the semester and how we're wrapping up with Unit 3 and starting Unit 4. So today, when I'm making this recording, it is the 25th of June. And when I open up um, Unit 3, you can see that in Unit 3, Lesson 3, your reflection is due by tonight. Everything else should be done by now. And then the other thing that's important is an optional submission of your project content. So if you want to turn that in no later than the 26th, which is Monday, I will provide you feedback. And the purpose of this is for you to get a final set of feedback from me on this project. So your project is worth a lot of your grade, and you've been working on your project all semester, and I've been giving you feedback. So if you want one final set of feedback from me, that's fine. You can submit the checkpoints that we've been doing. You can do it like that. You can submit a draft. You can submit partial work for feedback. Whatever you want to do is fine, but it's optional. It is not graded, but I will give you extensive feedback to help you get the best grade possible. You also turn that in where you turned in checkpoint 2 in the work that you've done. So then we start Unit 4, and this is what Unit 4 looks like when you open it. The first thing that's here is that if you want to do an extra credit assignment, it is due on the 2nd of July. The extra credit assignment, and you need to make sure you follow the directions very carefully. You can get up to 10 points of extra credit. And what you're doing is you're choosing an article, a podcast, a video that is not peer reviewed. This is not for professionals. You are going to use just something that the everyday person would see, and it must relate to women's health issues. If you choose a peer reviewed article or a professional item, you will receive a 0 on the extra credit. So you have to summarize the article or item in one paragraph and then relate the issue to at least 3 social determinants of health that we've covered. If you think I might not know what the issue is, then you should attach a link or attach the document so that I can actually see or read it. Again, if you look right here, it says if you use a peer-reviewed article or anything professional, this is a 0. The purpose of the extra credit is to look for real-world situations and relate them to the class. You've spent the entire semester doing peer-reviewed and professional type items. I want this to be based on just something normal that you see. Again, do the second. You then have here, if you click on this, it's a link to a video on the final description of the final project. This video has appeared in other places in the class, but if you have questions on it, that's important. Here on the 28th is where where the information about your final project is. You submit nothing at this final project. You don't submit your final project here. Um, it gives you guidelines. You're going to post your projects by the 28th. Watch the projects beginning the 29th. Post questions and post answers. I'll show you the discussion board. But what you do is you post your project at the discussion board, which we'll look at in a minute. But I will post your grade here. We'll look at the discussion board. You have peer and self evaluations, which are where you score yourself and your peers on what you watch. In discussion board unit 4, you don't post anything here, but you go to the discussion board for your unit 4 in your group. By the 28th at 9 p.m., you are to post your projects. It's earlier than normal because I need to look at everything before we have each other look at each other's work. Between the 9 p.m. on the 28th and the noon on the 29th, I'll be looking at your projects. If I see something wrong, I will email you to let you know something's wrong. For example, if there's supposed to be audio and I cannot hear it, I'll let you know. If you post it in a format that's not able to be watched or viewed in all types of computers, I'll email you that. If you send us a link that doesn't work, I will email you that. By the 30th, So you can start watching the projects in your discussion board on the 29th. You are to watch all of the projects, review all of the projects in your discussion board group. So you watch everybody's in your group. Then by the 30th, you post questions about the projects. Your peer and self scores are due the 1st, and you post answers by the 2nd. This tells you how everything is scored. Your projects will be scored separately, but your questions that you ask of 4 people in your group. And there, if you ask of 4 people, it's 4 points. It's posted on time is 1 point. And then by the 2nd, you answer at least 2 questions of the ones that were asked of you. That's 4 points. If you post your answers on time, it's 1 point. So your project itself is scored separately, but your participation in the questions and answers are scored here. The later you post your questions, the more important it is for you to make sure that everybody has at least 2 questions in your group. So that's really critical. If someone turns in their project late, you do not have to go back in and give them questions. You only have to give questions to people who are on time. If you're late, not only are you penalized late, but you may not have any questions to answer, which you would be penalized there as well. So that is that. And then your final reflection is due the 5th of July. I'm going to show you what's in here so you can see it. The final reflection document is there. There are 7 questions that you answer. It's due by 5 p.m. on the 5th. It opens on the 3rd of July at 12 a.m. and it's due by the 5th at 5 p.m. So you have more than a day and a half to answer it. If you don't want to work on the 4th of July, then make sure you do it either the 3rd or the 5th. Also, there's a place to get extra credit in this reflection, and it asks you about watching something that you were not assigned to watch, which means you would have to go into the other discussion board and look at something in the other discussion board. So if you're in group 1, you'd have to look at group 2. If you're in group 2, you'd have to look at group 3. If you have questions about anything, remember that I have office hours 5 to 6 p.m. on Monday nights in WebEx, and the link is in the syllabus. If you have questions any other time and you want to meet, just send me an email. We'll set up a time to meet. Send me several times and dates that are good for you. And finally, most of you are reading the feedback I'm giving you, and you are adjusting it as we go through the semester. If you need to make sure you go back and read the feedback, because some of you have gotten the same feedback several times and have not changed what I've asked you to change, which will end up in a very poor grade on your final assignment. Again, thank you for working so hard this semester. Things are going really well. You're doing great work. And I look forward to looking at your final projects in the next week that you've been working on all semester. Have a great week, everybody.